Hello, fiber fans, friends, and followers. My name is Beth, and I am a knitter from the suburbs of Chicago who works as a teacher's aide. And so, here at the end of my summer months, I am going to show you everything I've gotten into this past week. For those of you wondering, why am I Pandemic Knitter? It's because I have been knitting every day since the pandemic. However, prior to that, I was a knitter and a crocheter, just very intermittently. Few projects, far between, and now I have gotten into the online knitting world, and I just love to play with all kinds of fibers and make all the things. So this past week, I spent a lot of time in my car knitting, as well as just sightseeing, because my husband and I went on a road trip to Wyoming. We spent a few days in Thermopolis. We also spent a couple of days in Gillette. And then we made a stop through Cody, and we saw Carista at Wyoming Yarns. Hi, Carista. Thanks for everything. It was so great to see you. This week, I will be announcing the winner of the Sandy bag that I had shown on my last episode. So, okay, this is Beth from the future. I started looking at the video that I recorded, and that was now a week ago. So the one you're watching right now, I recorded a week ago today, or maybe even more than that. But I still had not drawn names, or a name, for the Sandy bag. So just as a quick reminder, this is the bag that is that I'm drawing a name for right now. Love this bag. It's a tote bag, and I will have another one to give away most likely in my next episode, because we are coming up on September, and I'd like to do this monthly. So I've got Austin's hat. For those of you who don't know, Austin is my son who passed away in 2010, and this is a hat that was given to him by a man who was playing Indiana Jones at one of the Disney parks. I don't remember which one it was, but when we went on his Make-A-Wish trip. So he's got an Indiana Jones hat from actual Indiana Jones, sort of. So I like to draw names out of here from the ones who commented on the episode about fluffing your stash. So I have to remember to finish coloring in my fluff your stash thing. So Margot Kingsley is my winner. So Margot, if you're watching, please let me know that you have seen this. I'll put my information up somewhere. You can email me at pandemickknitter@gmail.com or message me on Instagram, and I will go ahead and send that out to you. So did I finish what I was saying? I don't remember now. I was saying something about Austin's Make-A-Wish trip. I think I completed the thought. If not, I'll notice it in editing and be like, okay, whatever. So, congratulations, Margot. Let me know your address information, and if that's a pseudonym, please let me know your real name. And I will get that out to you ASAP. And now back to me. So, thank you, Sandy. I so appreciate everything you've done to help out my channel. Okay, first things first, I need to open up my computer and remember what on earth I have, because it's a lot of stuff. And so I made a whole big list of show notes, and I want to be able to give you every detail of all the things that I did. So let's dive right into it. The first thing that the biggest thing that I have been working on is my test knit for Isabel Kramer. And this is a pullover pattern called Alhambra. And the deadline for this test knit, sorry, my computer is loading. I'm just so unprepared. The deadline for it is the 25th. So that is a week from today. I am almost finished with the sleeves. I was hoping to be finished by now. In fact, I was so certain that I would do it that I actually originally put it in my show notes as a finished object. Unfortunately, it didn't quite get there, so had to move it to the whips today. So this is my progress. I've got the sleeves going. I am almost there. I really didn't want to do any talking about it until I was actually finished, but here we are. The yarn I am using is Madeline Tosh Pashmina. It is a blend of superwash wool and cashmere. I think there's some silk in it too. I should look at the label. Do I have that? Yes, I do. So it is, the colorway is Seaglass, and it's 75% superwash merino, 15% silk, and 10% cashmere, and it feels amazing. It is so super soft. This is just, I think, one of the softest sweaters I own. It is a DK weight, but it really feels very light, and I think that's because of the composition of the yarn. So it is a top-down sweater. There is no waist shaping in the pattern, but I did add some myself. And I think I might have gone a little too drastic on it, but it is what it is. I did try it on once. Did I show you guys that picture? I don't think I did. I'll put that up here, probably over here, because Isabel is over here wearing her sweater. I'll be over here. So I'm loving this test knit. The group of people in this test knit, they're such professionals. They're like great cheerleaders for everyone. I love it. Unfortunately, I have not been as much participating in that group just because I have been so busy on my vacation and everything that I didn't participate to the level that I would have liked to have. Anyhow, this is Alhambra, and my plan is that I will be completing this and then soaking it, and I'll have pictures of it up on Instagram as well as on Ravelry. So if you're interested in seeing more about this, you can always check my Ravelry page. It is in my projects. The other huge thing, you guys, that I worked on, and I am so excited about this. I have been doing 2 rows a day on the Solomon Poncho by Cheryl Beckerich, Wise Owl Knits, and I have completed the knitting on the body of it. So I think maybe before I said I wasn't going to show this until I was completely done with it, but I lied. I'm showing it now because it is amazing. I just love this. So stand up to show this. It is a lovely, this is Cascade Eco DK in the colorway dark chocolate. And I think I may have to pause recording because I do believe my husband is coming around with the lawnmower now. But you can see all this great cable detail in this. Oh, I am loving it. So, you can see the neckline that was knit into this, and it will fit me like this. I hope the lawnmower is not as loud as it sounds to me on the video. If it is, I may be re-recording this part. So this is how it will fit. This will be sewn up here so that there is no hole there. And then my plan, okay, the original, she has, I'm gonna come closer so you can hear me. Okay, so in the original, she has you pick up stitches, and then it's a really long, I don't know what you would call the collar. It's a long, just ribbed, kind of, it's squared off and it just hangs. My plan is to sew this together and then pick up stitches all the way around, and I'm hoping I still have enough yarn that I can do a folded over collar. So I'm gonna do like, I don't know what you call it, not a boat neck, crew neck, like a crew neck. And so I'm hoping I have enough yarn for that. Let's see. This is what I have left of my cake. This should be plenty for that. I'm gonna weigh it real quick. And then we'll all know, right? So this is a DK. I've got 54 grams left. So I think that should be enough to do, I mean, like, this is half of a skein. So that should easily be enough. And then when I cleaned off my, my table that I showed you in the last episode, I found this piece of it in, on the table. And I was like, well, that's perfect for sewing up the side, because I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough yarn. So I was like, I'm putting this back in the bag with this project so that I can do that. I'm ecstatic. I'm ecstatic. I'm hoping this will come out as amazingly as I'm expecting it to come out. Cheryl, this is a beautiful pattern. Thank you so much for writing this pattern so that I could knit it and bring it to life. It is just, and this yarn, Cascade Eco DK, it's not like the softest yarn ever, but it is plenty soft, super warm. Like, this is going to be like, I feel like I could almost wear this like a winter coat. It is that warm. And this will be good for those nice chilly fall days. I cannot wait to wear this, and it won't be long. Yay! Anyhow, that's it for the Solomon poncho for now. I'm hoping by next week's episode, this will be a finished object as well as the Alhambra. And then I've got another thing that I want to finish by the end of August too, but that's just sewing in ends. So I'll talk about that later. My next work in progress, my husband started mowing back toward the front of the house. He's doing like the side lawn, and he came across the back, but now he just went back up to the front again. So I don't know what he's doing, if he's going in like around, I don't know, but it's working for me for now. This is, okay, now I need my show notes. I opened up the computer, I started it up, and I did not open up my show notes. So this is Uneek Fingering Yarns, Urth Uneek Fingering Yarns. Isn't that a pretty stripe pattern? Oh man, do I love this. So this was a simple project to work on the road. So this will be a scarf. I want to say it's called like Chevron scarf. Why is this not opening? Uneek Fingering Chevron Scarf by Urth Yarns. That's what it's called. Uneek is U-N-E-E-K. You'll see that up here. I don't know why I'm spelling that out for you because you'll see it on the screen. So there it is. It definitely could use a blocking to stop curling and everything, but loving the way this is knitting up. This has been a good, fairly mindless thing. It's kind of hard to keep track of where you're doing this without actually looking at it when you're going along. I did try using a stitch marker on it, but you have to keep moving the marker, and it's more of a pain than it's worth. But I have had to, I have gotten, well past that mark and then gone, oh, now I need to go back and do that part again because I missed the decrease here. So it's just decreases and increases, and simple project. It's fun to do and a little bit more interest than just going around and around on socks. Speaking of which, that's the other thing I worked on. I did work on my red, white, and blue socks that I am now dropping a stitch on. In fact, there is a stitch that needs to be re-knit there, so I gotta remember to do that when I go back. So this is Mustache Yarns. The colorway is Old Glory. I'm doing them 2 at a time on a magic loop. Whoo! Anyhow, 2 at a time, magic loop. It's super cute. Love how it comes up with like the Field of Star look with the stripes. Very much Old Glory. Keeping it in a cute, a very American bag by, who made this? I don't know. I definitely said on a previous episode. Oh, here it is. Ginger Snap. Ginger Snap Fibers. So that's all my whips, right? Yes, that's all my whips. Now I have new to me. And wow, do I have new to me. I have a lot of new to me things that I managed to gather up throughout this trip. So let me get into all of that. Firstly, I want to mention something that came in the mail to me while I was away on the trip, and I know I mentioned that I had placed this order before I went on the trip. So I wanted to show that I did get, actually I only got part of the order, but the rest is coming. So this is from Turlepurl Yarns. She is a self-striping yarn dyer in Canada. Her name is Emily, and this is, I want to say it's a 75-25. Yeah, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 4 plies. So she makes the two skeins so that you can perfectly match your socks, do them two at a time. The colorway on this is Cannonball. So I love blues and greens. Those are my favorites. And I've got, oh, and this is part of that set. This is the mini skein to go with this set for heels, toes, cuffs, whatever I so choose. Then I also have, from the same yarn dyer, this one is called What Does It Mean? So I don't know if any of you are familiar with the old, I want to say, was it a YouTube? Was it, this might have been from back when, what was that app called? There was the one that had like the 7-second videos, and it was like double rainbow all the way across the sky. What does it mean? So I'm assuming that's what she's referencing here, because this is like a long stripe of gray followed by rainbow stripes. So I'm excited to make this into a pair of socks. It should be a fun one. And that's also the same base. So let's see, I have more that I want to show you, but my computer has fallen asleep, and I want to do it in order of my show notes because that just makes it easier for me. Okay, so the first, sorry for the bag noise. The first place we went was in Thermopolis. That was where we were staying for the first few days of our trip in Wyoming. And so I went to the quilt shop there, which is called Gooseberry Garden Quilt Shop. It is in Thermopolis. And this, if you look at it from a distance, it looks like it's gray. So at first it didn't catch my eye. But then I looked at it up close. I don't know if it shows very well on the screen, but since I got home, I pulled it apart into its plies, and you can see that it's 2 plies of green with 1 ply of purple. And this is called Cestari? I don't know how you pronounce that. And it is their Heather Collection, and it is in the colorway Spring Meadow. It is 75% cotton, 25% wool, so I thought this would make a nice summer knit of some kind. I don't know what I want to make with it, but I bought 4 skeins, and it is 230 yards at 100 grams, so this is like a DK weight. So I know I have many in my favorites that this will work for. Let's go to, I want to go in time order because that just makes more sense to me. So the next place I went to was Wyoming Yarn in Cody, Wyoming, and that is where Carista is. And I get to visit with her. We talked a bit about, you know, just knitting and stuff and the world and what it's like to be looking around and enjoying that area of the US. It's just so gorgeous out there. The wildlife is different. The terrain is so different. Like being from Illinois, when you're driving, it's nothing but cornfields. And so really there's nothing to see. And I was thinking about this, when you are going out and on the road, it's like, oh, I've got all this time to knit. This is great. And so you start out in the cornfields of Illinois, or at least for me, that's the case. Start out in the cornfields of Illinois, You get a lot of knitting done. And then you get further along the trip and the terrain starts to become more interesting. There's the rolling hills and the valleys and the rivers, and just there's so much to see that sometimes I'd rather just be looking at the view than actually knitting. So I will say I did not get as much knitting done as I had hoped to, but I'm okay with that, because I got to see things that were nice to see, very nice views. Anyhow, at Wyoming Yarns, this was actually, I should show you, when I walked in the door, the very first thing I saw, this caught my eye right away. This shade of green, I love my greens, but this shade of green, I was like, oh, that is unique and I love it. So this is a Sweet Mountain Craft sock set. And so it came with these 2 minis. And it's funny because I first saw that when we walked in, and then I went and started looking at some other things, just like seeing how her shop was organized and everything like that. And then I ended up buying a sweater's quantity there. But she said something about, oh, this is my wall over here, as we were heading back to the register. And I was like, oh, that's right, I wanted to grab this. So this is the Lucky Find set. And I love this. She had more of these in the store. So if you want to snag one of these sock sets, this is an 80-20 blend, 80% superwash and 20% nylon. There are more of these. Go online and grab yourself your own. But so the sweaters quantity I got 5 of these, 2 of these. So this is intended to be, what's the name of that sweater? The Polly cardigan. So Carissa helped me put these 2 together. We kind of, I had a whole bunch of skeins just like set out on a little coffee table that she has in the shop, and I was like taking pictures and doing the black and white contrast thing and everything like that, and trying to make my mind up. I ultimately went with this as my choice, and then I started. Now, Carissa had suggested that I could probably get away with just 2 of these. Let me just say, Polly, it is a worsted weight pattern. This is considered bulky. So this is Queensland Brisbane, which I haven't even said the name of yet. I'm telling you so much about it without even telling you its name. So it was a Queensland Brisbane that caught my eye at first. There was a purple and blue one that I was like, oh, that is really pretty. So I think either my last episode or 2 episodes ago, I showed a Queensland Brisbane in a colorway that I was doing for a cowl. So I have started that cowl, but I have so little done, I didn't show it in my whips. But so this is 100% wool. And so when Carissa was looking at the pattern, she said, I think you could probably do this with just 2, but you know, if you need another, just let me know and we'll ship it out. So this is a worsted weight. This is Juniper Moon Farms Moonshine, and it is 40% alpaca, 40% wool, and 20% silk. So this color, I felt like it's a nice, I feel like it reads yellowish, but I think of it as more like a toffee brown, or like it's a brownish yellow. And so the the idea of the pattern it's got like that quilt feel, and so this has sort of like that 70s vibe to it. But I was at Swanky Mountain in Gillette the next day or 2 days later. I think it was the next day. And she also had some Queensland, Brisbane. And I thought, I wonder how this would look with that. And I also thought, I think I'm going to need a third skein. So I think the contrast of this is probably going to work better. And I'm sure I can find a use for this because I do love this color. But we'll see what it becomes. So I think this is what I'm going to go with for the poly. I feel like the pinkishness and I feel like what do you call it? Contrast. That's it. The contrast is going to work better for me. And the other thing that Carista gave me was this cute little skein. She knows I love green, so she had this and she gifted it to me. So thank you, Carista. You know me well with my colors, and I just love all the different shades of green that are in that. And I can see making a pair of socks with this that could match a lot of my outfits. So I've got that. And then, it was in Wyoming, they're having the cowboy yarn crawl now. So I've got this, and this is a perfect size bag for a one skein project. I could put some sock yarn in there and make some socks with that. And then for participating in that, I've got this sticker from the shop, as well as a little needle stopper. So this, you put the ends of your needles in and then it holds your stitches on. And then a cute little stitch marker. I want to open up this little bag. It's got a little bird on it. I'm trying to make sure that I show it in a way that it can be seen on camera. It looks blurry to me. I hope it's not blurry to you. So that is super cute. Wyoming yarn and fiber. The other thing that I got at Swanky Mountain was this. It is, I'm loving these two colors together. Do they not? This is, oh, what a great contrast. So this is Highland Luxe. It says by Haiku. And then it says something about Skacel on it too. So I don't know. But this is 90% Andean Highland wool and 10% kid mohair, and it's super soft. She had a shop sample of a cowl called, I think, Star Touched. I'll have it up here. I'll put it up here for you. But I just saw this color work cowl and I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. I want to see if I can knit that. So that is my plan with that yarn. I do have a thing for like browns, as you saw with my Solomon poncho. Yeah, this looks like about the same color. And I think this is the perfect contrast for that. So they also are participating in the yarn crawl, the cowboy yarn crawl. And it was funny when I was at Wyoming Yarns in Cody, Carista said, "Oh, you're going to Gillette? Would you mind taking a box of things over to Swanky Mountain?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know they were there. If there's a yarn shop where I'm going, yes, please." So we brought, it was actually the box of what would be the prizes for her shop, for whoever gets their name drawn for the yarn crawl. So, of course, I had to, you know, reorganize the box for her while it was in my possession. And it is an amazing set of prizes. I mean, wow. And this is just like each yarn shop has these prizes, and like it was a whole set of Knitter's Pride interchangeable needles, multiple things from Coco Knits. It was like needle stoppers and like, what do you call those? It's something envelope is what it was called, but it was like or something wallet, I think they called it. Anyway, from Coco Knits. And you know, you can put your notions in there and everything. And there was a big bag full of yarn, and I think that was Juniper Moon Farm. I could be wrong about that, but it was a large bag of yarn. There were 2 separate bags of Rowan yarns with 2 skeins of each of their yarns, and many more things within that prize box. So I was like, wow, I want to win this from one of those shops. I don't care which one, I want to win. So anyway, that was what I brought there. And so then I bought this yarn, as well as for entering the cowboy yarn crawl, I got this cute little stitch marker. It's a little cowboy hat. Isn't that cute? It's hard to tell on the screen, I feel like. That, and maybe that's just my view of looking at my phone. But love that. Yeehaw. So, that was everything that I got from Swanky Mountain. And I think I mentioned all of the the Wyoming yarns. And then while we were in Gillette, there was a store called Larkspur Home and Gifts, and I bought myself a little project bag. Isn't this nice? This was a really good deal. And I don't know, maybe bags are always priced as well as this was. LIB New York, I don't know. I'm not familiar with the brand, but if you want to look for one for yourself. I love the indigenous type fabric on it. And then it also came with a little notions holder. And so I can't wait to put a project in this. I have a feeling that that poly sweater will be stored inside this bag, and I am so excited about that one because that's such a, I mean, it's a cool looking sweater. I like the quilt-ish design of it. And that one is by Amy Christoffers. Anyhow, is that it? Gosh, that's a lot of stuff, you guys. I bought a lot. I mean, that adds a lot to your vacation price. And I will say, we stayed at places that were not as pricey, so that helped to be able to afford the yarn. But still, it was really nice. I want to say this place in Gillette that we stayed, we usually like to stay in Airbnbs so we can do cooking ourselves and not spend as much going to all of the restaurants and everything. So the place that we stayed, it was gorgeous. It's called the Carriage House. So if you're looking on Airbnb for this place, that's what you would find it under. And like everything just fully decked out. The only thing, and this is kind of a big thing, the bed. Like it was a good sized bed. So it's a studio. So it's all like one room. It's big though. It's very expansive. So the bed is just kind of behind like a little half wall. And so it was a nice area for the bed. It worked out well for us as a couple. However, it was one of those beds where clearly somebody has slept in the middle of this mattress quite a bit, because laying on either side of the mattress, my husband and I felt like we were about to just roll into the middle and like collapse in. So that was my only issue with the place. But what we did in order to sort of get around that is basically we just slept apart. The first night I slept on the couch and my husband slept in the bed, and the second night my husband slept on the couch and I slept in the bed. So it worked out. We managed. But super nice place. Like seriously, just gorgeous amenities. The kitchen was super big, plenty of cooking space, and they had all the spices and everything. I love it when they think about all of those things that a guest might need. And like the shower was amazing. It was a huge tub. Anyhow, that's that for my stay in Gillette. I would say the accommodations from our Airbnb in Thermopolis were not quite as good, but one thing that my husband and I both discussed is that it would have been good to have switched around how many days we stayed in each part. I think it would have been better to spend more time in Gillette, which is a bigger area, and less time in Thermopolis, which is way smaller. The main thing to see in Thermopolis is the state park where they have the hot springs. In fact, I think it's called Hot Springs State Park. But that is gorgeous. I highly recommend, if you are out in the western side of Wyoming, go through Thermopolis. Go through and check out the Hot Springs State Park. They have really, really cool, like the hot springs itself is cool to explore. And then they also have a bathhouse where you can soak in the spring water, and it's like 104 degrees. So it's kind of like sitting in a hot tub, really. But it's the mineral water that is coming from the hot springs. So it's kind of a cool thing. And they say that these are healing waters and whatever, which I enjoyed it. I felt at peace when I was finished at the bathhouse. I felt like, it was a nice experience. It was really, but I mean, you do it once, and I mean, I don't know that I would want to stay there for much longer than a couple of days. And if you have kids, this is a good place to go with kids too, because they do also have a place with like water slides and stuff like that. So, and there's a playground at Hot Springs State Park. There's a little snack cart where you can get, hot dogs, hamburgers, chicken tenders, that kind of thing. Nice place to visit, but not necessarily for a long visit. And what else did I want to say? I do kind of want to talk about an incident that happened. I'm trying to remember, was it Monday? We were in Thermopolis and we got a phone call from my son who was here at home, and he's been taking care of the dog while we were gone, and he was walking the dog past a neighbor's house, and their dog jumped out their screen, like through their screen, to get to my dog. She attacked my dog and bit him on, it seems like the neck area more so than like the cheek. My son described it as his face, but the swelling seems to be more in the neck. And so fortunately, both dogs are okay. But apparently this is something, you know, the behavior of this dog they have been trying to address, and like the fact that this dog just escaped from inside the house with no extra help, just jumped out the screen while they had their windows open, that was crazy to me. Like, so unexpected. And yeah, both dogs are on like a quarantine watch, and it's a sad story. But I'm hoping that all works out for the best. It's just, this became a stressful thing during our trip. And my husband and I were on the phone every day, probably at least twice a day, with my son, trying to figure out like what he needed to do, who he needed to contact, how to get things done. So yeah, it was difficult. We even thought about cutting our trip short, but we knew that, you know, at a minimum, it was going to take us 2 days to drive home. So it was kind of like, you know, by the time we get home, things could be resolved entirely. So we ended up staying out there on our trip and, you know, enjoying the rest of our time there. And definitely we are so grateful to Ian for holding down the fort and taking care of the dog and nursing his wounds. He was on the phone with the vet on a regular basis. He was like every day he was calling to say, this is happening, what should I do about it? And, you know, I'm trying to do this, but it's not working. How can I do something different? And I mean, he showed such a strength and responsibility. So I mean, it made me really proud of him. That, like, you know, you always think as a parent, did I teach my kids the things they really need in life? And I think in this case, whether he got it from me or got it from somewhere else, he definitely grew up to know how to handle a stressful situation and come through with flying colors. So, Ian, if you're watching, you rocked it. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to do. I do want to show some pictures from my trip. Wildlife out there is really cool. We saw some wild turkeys, we saw some bison, we saw some pronghorns, which are like deer that have like two straight up little horns on their head. What else did we, well, I mean, you know, we saw the usual cows and sheep and goats and stuff like that in fields, but and that's something like, Here in the Midwest, you generally do not see cows out in the field very much. Usually, frequently, I would say, when you go past like a dairy farm, they're all inside the barn. So you don't typically see a whole lot of cows out wandering through the fields and stuff like that. I'll throw the pictures on the screen while I talk. One of the things that we did is in the Hot Springs State Park, there's a little path that you can go up to see the bison. And I guess they keep a herd of bison every year, and they kind of like switch out, I guess, families of bison. So we came in very close contact with these bison, and it was like, holy moly. Seeing the male, he's so big in comparison to like the females even, and just kind of, you can see, it's almost like they've got a little bit of a swagger to them. It's like this slow little move of like ba-doom, 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 and they are just such cool animals. There was a shop that had bison hides, but we never got to that shop. Anything that was off the beaten path, we never really got to, because we mainly just stayed to the main strip. And I'm sure we could have made time to see some of these other things, but I like to kind of balance the going out and seeing things with the sitting at the Airbnb and just relaxing and getting my knit. Sometimes my videos stop with no warning whatsoever, and I don't understand why. But I think that probably was a sign that I should say goodbye here. So until next time, I don't know exactly when that will be. There will be another sandy bag drawing probably in the next video. Maybe. I don't know yet. I'll let you know. You'll know when I know. So until then, like, subscribe, survive, and thrive, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.